Welcome to Inspired for Impact event themed My Journey, My Story. We started Inspired for Impact event, the annual event. Actually, we started that last year, and the theme was also My Journey, My Story. We showcased 4 amazing speakers who shared with us their journeys to relevance. And the feedback we got, the testimonials that have kept on coming and rolling in, have been testimonials of transformed lives and impact that those transformed lives have gone ahead to make. We have 3 amazing speakers who are going to also be sharing the journey to relevance, how they've moved from one point in their lives to another. On our platform Inspired for Impact, we have different programs. We have the book club, which we run every other month. A lot of fantastic books, and those books have been inspiring. We have the new month prayers, where we just declare into the new month what we want it to be. We do that every first day of the month, 5:30 a.m. On Zoom. We also have the Living Inspired monthly event, where we have different speakers. Sometimes I run those sessions, and then a number of times we have speakers who take us through different topical sessions. Currently, we run that on Instagram Live, and it's tagged Living Inspired with Victoria Bauer. Finally, I run a coaching segment as part of the platform every quarter, and it's coaching conversations with Victoria Bauer, and just taking professionals in the different areas, different levels or stages of their career through important topics and things they need to be aware of, and just to help them be the best versions of themselves in their professional careers. I want to show you that you're being a part of this program is not a coincidence. Inspired for Impact as a platform is an assignment, it's purpose being fulfilled, and it's part of us going a step further in pursuit of purpose with passion. It's been said that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step that is taken. You're joining this event today from wherever you are in the world is a step you're taking towards that desired destiny and future that you see for yourself. I just want to say this to you. As you partake in this year's event, do not just partake in it. Be deliberate about making the required changes and taking the steps that you need to take. So I'm going to be seeing you at the top, because definitely the top is where you belong. So sit back, enjoy the event, and stay blessed. Welcome to Inspired for Impact event themed My Journey, My Story. We started Inspired for Impact event, the annual event. Actually, we started that last year, and the theme was also My Journey, My Story. We showcased 4 amazing speakers who shared with us their journeys to relevance. And the feedback we got, the testimonials that have kept on coming and rolling in, have been testimonials of transformed lives and impact that those transformed lives have gone ahead to make. We have 3 amazing speakers who are going to also be sharing the journey to relevance, how they've moved from one point in their lives to another. On our platform Inspired for Impact, we have different programs. We have the book club, which we run every other month. A lot of fantastic books, and those books have been inspiring. We have the new month prayers, where we just declare into the new month what we want it to be. We do that every first day of the month, 5:30 a.m. On Zoom. We also have the Living Inspired monthly event, where we have different speakers. Sometimes I run those sessions, and then a number of times we have speakers who take us through different topical sessions. Currently, we run that on Instagram Live, and it's tagged Living Inspired with Victoria Bauer. Finally, I run a coaching segment as part of the platform every quarter, and it's coaching conversations with Victoria Bauer, and just taking professionals in the different areas, different levels or stages of their career through important topics and things they need to be aware of, and just to help them be the best versions of themselves in their professional careers. I want to show you that you're being a part of this program is not a coincidence. Inspired for Impact as a platform is an assignment, it's purpose being fulfilled, and it's part of us going a step further in pursuit of purpose with passion. It's been said that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step that is taken. You're joining this event today from wherever you are in the world is a step you're taking towards that desired destiny and future that you see for yourself. I just want to say this to you. As you partake in this year's event, do not just partake in it. Be deliberate about making the required changes and taking the steps that you need to take. So I'm going to be seeing you at the top, because definitely the top is where you belong. So sit back, enjoy the event, and stay blessed. Welcome to Inspired for Impact event themed My Journey, My Story. We started Inspired for Impact event, the annual event. Actually, we started that last year, and the theme was also My Journey, My Story. We showcased 4 amazing speakers who shared with us their journeys to relevance. And the feedback we got, the testimonials that have kept on coming and rolling in, have been testimonials of transformed lives and impact that those transformed lives have gone ahead to make. We have 3 amazing speakers who are going to also be sharing the journey to relevance, how they've moved from one point in their lives to another. On our platform Inspired for Impact, we have different programs. We have the book club, which we run every other month, a lot of fantastic books, and those books have been inspiring. We have the new month prayers, where we just declare into the new month what we want it to be. We do that every first day of the month, 5:30 a.m. On Zoom. We also have the Living Inspired monthly event, where we have different speakers. Sometimes I run those sessions, and then a number of times we have speakers who take us through different topical sessions. Currently, we run that on Instagram Live, and it's tagged Living Inspired with Victoria Bauer. Finally, I run a coaching segment as part of the platform every quarter, and it's coaching conversations with Victoria Bauer, and just taking professionals in the different areas, different levels or stages of their career through important topics and things they need to be aware of, and just to help them be the best versions of themselves in their professional careers. I want to show you that you're being a part of this program is not a coincidence. Inspired for Impact as a platform is an assignment, it's purpose being fulfilled, and it's part of us going a step further in pursuit of purpose with passion. It's been said that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step that is taken. You're joining this event today from wherever you are in the world is a step you're taking towards that desired destiny and future that you see for yourself. I just want to say this to you. As you partake in this year's event, do not just partake in it. Be deliberate about making the required changes and taking the steps that you need to take. So I'm going to be seeing you at the top, because definitely the top is where you belong. So sit back, enjoy the event, and stay blessed.
Hello, everyone. Please let me know if you can hear me. I'd like to see your chats. If you're live with us and you can hear me, please drop in your comments on the chat. We'd like to see your comments. Let's know that you're here, that you're joining us. Let me see your comments in the chat. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I want to ask a question to everybody. First is to say thank you for joining, and to say welcome to everybody that joined. Thank you. I feel so excited, and beyond just being excited, I feel blessed, to be able to witness this event. And I just want to say thanks to everybody that's joined us. And so while we're here, this is our third edition, Inspired for Impact, as an annual event. It's three this year. And when we started 2 years ago, it was an instruction from God to say that where He gave this instruction to run a session like this as a give back to the society, and to create a platform for people to just hear the stories of people who have gone ahead, made impact in the different spheres of influence. And so a number of times we'll see this, we'll hear the stories of people who are making impact, and some people ask questions, what is it that they're doing differently? Many times we have different myths around how people have made it. You hear in the society or even on the streets, people say that, oh, you don't know what that person did, or you don't know the story behind where the person is today. And you know what? In fact, that is true, because the secret of great men and women is actually in the stories. And so we're doing this, for everyone that has taken the time to register and to join us. The reason for this is for us to hear the stories of these professionals who have gone ahead in their different spheres of influence and are making impact. We want them to come tell us their stories. Let's hear their stories, their struggles, their successes, and then people who are listening can, take the lessons from there and also go out there and unleash the greatness that they have within them. Everybody has greatness within. Everybody has greatness within. So as you've come into this session, one of the key things that you will realize is that as you hear stories, like the scripture was talking about one of the prophets, and he said he was a man of like passion, like you and I. And so that's the same thing. The great speakers we have brought into this session, this evening or afternoon or morning, depending on where you are all over the world, there are people of like passion like you and I. They have similar stories, they have similar life occurrences, but they have, they defied all odds and gone ahead to make great impact, and are continuing to make those great impacts in the spheres of influence. So I can assure you something. One thing you can be assured of is that at the end of today's session, you can take that to the bank. And if there's somewhere bigger than the bank, at the end of today's session, you'll be experiencing a transformed life. That you can take from me. So please sit back, relax, and it's going to be a wow experience. I want to say this to as many that are watching now. Quickly. Let me know in the chat box what's your what edition, how many editions you have joined. So is this your first? Is this your second? Is it your third? Let me know how many editions you've joined us, please. So if it's the third one you're joining, please put 3. If it's the second, put 2. I can see some chats coming through already. If it's your first, let's know. Let's put 1. Let's see the people that will have it. So just put the numbers 1, 2, 3. I see first, so you can just 1, 2, 3. Let's see how many ones, how many 2s will have it. Oh, I see a number of 1s already. Wow. First, that's good. So it tells me that our publicity this year was really top notch. First, I see a number of firsts. First, thank you. Oh, thanks. I see a number of firsts first. So keep dropping it. Let's see how many people have followed us all through the years. From 2020 through 2022, there's so many firsts. This is exciting. This is really exciting. So many firsts coming through. Really exciting. Thank you. Oh, great. Keep dropping it. Thank you. Okay, so right about now, thank you, everybody. Thanks for your comments. Thank you so much. I'm going to be going into the next segment where I'll be reading the profiles of our guests. I know that you're here because you want to listen to our guests that we have. I know that is why everybody is here. Please, I'm going to be reading that, and the first on the list, we're going to do the ladies first. So I'm going to be taking Mrs. Adesumbo Adeoye first. I'm going to be reading through her profile first. Our first speaker, whose profile I'll quickly read. So Mrs. Sumbo Adeoye is a luminary par excellence. Her passion to see others fulfill purpose is the reason she's also known as a game changer. Not only will you be fired up when you encounter her via various platforms, a contagious can-do spirit will propel you to prosper and make meaningful results out of your ideas and vision. She runs the Inspiring Change Initiative, a movement that deliberately enhances knowledge and educates the women folks for an equal and purposeful future with a focus on nation building. This mandate she expresses via the annual Inspiring Change Conference, the biannual Mentor Meets Mentee, the Entrepreneurial Advancement Training for Market Women, the Inspiring Change Deliberate Movement, and Daily Inspiring Change with Sumbo virtual movement. That is a virtual movement that brings hope for a fresh start with the aim to rebuild the ruins and of the society, and to help refurbish the people on the lower scale in the society, no matter what the life experiences has been. Sumbo Adeoye has authored several books and annually brings women together who have been able to bridge the gaps in their respective professions, together with the women who aspire to be like them. And then in these life transforming meetings, these meetings have produced outstanding women who currently have amazing results in the business, career, and ministry. Sumbo is an alumna of Lagos Business School and a certificate holding member of Harvard class of 2022. She's the host of the weekly virtual talk show Tact Risk to Reward series, where she seeks to impact and enhance the knowledge of business people deliberately. She's an advisory board member of several companies with global visions and partners with global brands to help foster the growth of women and mothers in business, ministry, and career. As a youth ambassador and premium activator of the Transforming Nigeria Youth Initiative, you can tell that this is a wow profile. She recently partnered with MasterCard Foundation in collaboration with Enterprise Development Center, that's of the LBS, to empower 40,000 youth within the age of 18 to 35. Sumbo is a mentor to many and a recipient of numerous awards, showcasing her dedication and contribution towards progressive initiatives. She was recently recognized as one of the top 100 most inspiring and trailblazing women in Nigeria by the leading ladies of Africa. She's currently the CEO of ESOP Events and founder of ESOP Heroes, a Cherry Blair Foundation brand ambassador, and a Goldman Sachs scholar. She's happily married to David Adeoye, an icon of greatness, and the senior pastor of Royalty Christian Center, where she serves as the first lady, and together they are blessed with great and intelligent children. And this, to see more about Sumbo Adeoye, you can visit our website on www.sumboadeoye.com. Please just say something nice to our speaker, our lady speaker for this night. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Sumbo Adeoye. We're so glad to have you. Thank you. So next on my list, I'm going to be speaking to the profile of Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel. Wisdom Ezekiel is one of Africa's leading investors, serial entrepreneurs, and philanthropists. He's the co-founder of Pertinence Group, a fast-growing conglomerate with major interest in real estate, financial services, technology, banking, construction, with presence in the UK, in the US, Canada, and the UAE. Wisdom is also the chairman and CEO of Rush Stars Limited, a thriving entertainment brand. Wisdom also serves as an executive and strategic board member for numerous Pan-African businesses, one of which is the Conta Africa, a social enterprise community committed to transforming Africa through innovation. In line with his vision to empower people and to push them to growth, he founded the Wisdom Ezekiel Cares Foundation. He holds an executive MBA from the Metropolitan School of Business in the UK, entrepreneurship, and in emerging economics certification from the Harvard Business School Extension. He is a seasoned speaker, a distinguished author, and the host of Wisdom for Wealth, a wealth creation seminar with over 700 community members. He's the author of Desperate for Change series, Don't Get Mad, Get Rich, Rush, and his latest book, Coming to Lagos. Also is the host of the Empowerment Summit, a summit prepared to equip startups and small businesses. He's a recipient of many exceptional awards and recognitions both locally and internationally, amongst which are the Black History Month Community Award, Toronto, Canada, amongst others. Wisdom is happily married to his pretty wife, Temitope, and blessed with two wonderful children. Again, at this point, I'd like you to show some love to our second speaker that we have showcased, Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel. Thank you for joining us, sir. We're so excited to have you here. And then to my last profile that I'll be reading this evening, I'm reading the profile, or well, depends on where you are around the globe, Mr. Yemi Fasheun. Mr. Yemi Fasheun is a well-known, I'll use the word global HR leader who is a voice making an impact in the world of work today. He has almost 30 years of work experience cutting across major sectors with proven track record in leading and executing strategic change management initiatives, HR service delivery, organizational design and development, and HR transformation during mergers and acquisition. Yemi began his career with a background in English from the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife, and later proceeded to acquire an MBA, together with other relevant trainings and certifications from the Cranfield University, UK, the Lagos Business School, and other institutions. Yemi Fasheun is a highly respected thought leader and subject matter expert on HR strategy, manpower planning and resourcing, organizational learning, performance management systems, succession planning, talent management, organizational design, as well as culture and leadership transformation. His expertise in consulting, commercial banking, telecoms, investment banking, FMCG, exposed him to diverse transformation projects and responsibilities, thereby enriching his experiences and exposure to global brands and global best practices with local context in mind. That's what you call the global. A few organizations where Yemi has worked include Ataranda Sim, and I'm so excited because that's something we have in common. Standard Chartered Bank, Stanbic IBTC Bank, Etisalat Now 9 Mobile, FBN Quest Merchant Bank, Globalcom, and the 7-Up Bottling Company, where he was the Chief Corporate Services Officer. Currently, Yemi is the Chief Talent Officer at YF Talent Partners. Please give Mr. Yemi Fasheun a warm welcome by just putting in, you can give whatever the icon you want to give us. Please do give us that in the comment section. If you're excited, let's know how excited you are. What are your expectations? Let's know. Just put it there in the chat. Let's see. Let's know what the expectations are. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Awesome. Great to see you, ma'am. We're bringing everybody. Thank you. We're dropping all our speakers. Everybody, thank you, Mrs. Sumwadoyo. I see you, bright, cheerful, pretty as usual. Thank you, Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel. Thank you so much. You can see from my excitement, Mr. Yemi Fasheun. Thank you so much. I don't know, I was saying to the organizing team that it's a huge privilege to have great industry giants and marketplace giants like this on this in the call today. I want to say to everybody here, if you are in this session, please, your pen, your book, everything possible should be ready. Gems are going to be dropping. We will have gems dropping, so you can't afford to miss anything that is being said this evening. So welcome everybody. I'm going to go straight into the session while we're here. And the first question, I'm going to ask every one of you the same question. People have read, they've seen our adverts, they've gone to do some background checks. People are going to be asking, why should I listen to this person? What does this person have to tell me? So in just 5 minutes maximum, just give them a tip of the iceberg. In 5 minutes, tell us your story. And in telling us your story, what are the critical aspects? What are the memorable things that that you have experienced that define who you are today? Tell us something that if I remember, I can remember the story you've gone through. I can tell your story in that 5 minutes. And what is that memorable thing that the audience should go home with? I'm going to start with our lady. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, madam. I hope that's fine. And so, in the way that I introduced you for this first question, that's how I'm going to go. So, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, all our speakers. Good evening to our beautiful host. And happy birthday, Mrs. Victoria Iwahwa.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
Thank
excited to
you.
be on this stream. Thank you so much for the privilege to be able to connect with all your circle of influence, and of course to be able to connect to these fantastic speakers. Mr. Fashio, I welcome you. And then Pastor Ezekiel, you're so welcome. Yes, my name is Sumbo Adioye, and I would like to let you know that on the journey towards manifesting your destiny, there's going to be many trials. So, what has defined me today are some of the failures that I've gone through. Oh, I've failed in so many stages of my life. I have failed in career, I've failed in business, I've failed in marriage, I've failed, but I did not allow these failures define me, because I know that the failures are just giving me a pathway in order for me to discover several ways with which I need not to do certain things. So the first failure I ever encountered was in school. I was trying so hard to pass my WAHE, because I mean, that's the trail. That's what we're all told. You go to school, you pass your exams, and then you must move to the next level, which is the process a majority of us are used to. So I failed. I failed mathematics, and it looked as if that was about to destroy the glorious future that God had already made ready for me. So I started to feel like I couldn't pass through that stage. So I was home for 5 years. In between finishing college and getting into the university, I was home for 5 years. But what did I do? I did not allow that failure define me. Instead of relishing in what was happening at that time, my father, who saw that I had time in my hands, registered me to go and learn what we call back then desktop publishing. So I learned about how to use a computer. I didn't know it was going to be very relevant and very useful for me in the future. I mean, on the journey of my life. And so I went in search of that knowledge. By the time I was home gaining knowledge, by the time I got into the university, I had made up my mind. Sometimes these failures are like a defining moment for you to really understand while you are here, where you ought to be. So while I was home, I kept telling myself that if I get admission into the university, I'm going to be serious about it. I'm going to make the best use of my time. I'm going to be the best in class, because I'd stayed 5 years is too long. Those who got into university immediately after we graduated from high school were already out of school. So it was that bad. So I said to myself, those that I'm going to be in class with are no longer my peers. These are going to be like my juniors, 4 years juniors. Now, what kept me back was just a failure in one subject. Sometimes certain things may keep you back, and it looks as if you can't cross that hurdle. But do not allow the devil tell you that lie, because there is no hurdle you cannot climb if you focus and make up your mind to do it. So I made up my mind. I said I was going to pass this maths. I did pass maths. And by the time I was getting back into the university, I was now focused. I knew why I was there. I knew I wasn't there to faff around. I knew I wasn't there to waste my time. And by the time I was done, I finished in flying colors. I got a job in the banking industry. And the use of computer that I learned while home, during the time I felt I failed, but I thank God today, because I didn't just fail, I failed forward, because the extra skill that I learned during that season that the devil wanted to make look like a failure season was a season where I developed that skill, and that skill was now handy for me in the banking industry. Now, when I got into banking, I was working at the operations unit, but in my regular character, some of these things I developed by being a Christian, and then by being in a family where they nurture us to take responsibilities and just think critically and all of that. So when I go into the banking industry, I find myself doing some of these things that I already exhibit on my inside. Being the last child in a family of 7, you know how it is now. It's the last born, they're always sending on errands. So I was so in tune to this culture of service. In no time, I see myself serving. I was always serving, looking for ways to add value, looking for ways to be of help. So as someone who was in the bank for just industrial attachment, my bosses started to love upon me. They were so interested in my growth. They kept mentoring me to ensure that there is something about this girl, because a lot of people just identifies something about you, but you shrug it off because it comes to you as natural. So I didn't take in passing some of those comments from my bosses. They kept reiterating and nursing some of the qualities that I exhibit as a person. Now, I didn't know these qualities were very like they're big deal, you know, the culture of having a good character, the culture of wanting to learn, the culture of being able to work as a team. So I kept fine-tuning this culture. When it was time for me to be recommended for a higher position, they were quick to recommend me, and that was how my growth in career started. I was in the banking industry for about a decade, but I wanted out. I said to myself, I said I was done. But the culture of service that I already did while in the banking industry led me to being the CEO of ESOP Events, which is an event management outfit that I've been running for over a decade. ESOP Events is an event planning platform that has grown several arms into training and all kinds of other things that we do. But one thing I want to reiterate is the power of relationship. Relationship. See, the moment I did it well on one level, it ensured that what I did well on that level propelled me to the next level of my life. So when I was doing my exit interview that I was leaving the banking industry, one question they asked me is, where are you going? Which bank is poaching you? Because you're one of our best aunts. I told them, I said, no bank is poaching me. I'm just going in search. I'm going in pursuit of my purpose. I feel this is what I would love to do. So they asked me, what exactly is this thing you want to go and do? I said, events planning. One thing shocked me, but now I'm not shocked anymore. As at that time, they said, Sumba, you will do well. I was in the banking industry. I wasn't an event planner. However, whenever it is time to plan an event on my unit or in my the department, they're always using me as a committee chair. So over time, they discovered I already had these things inside of me that I really didn't know existed. So when I told them this was where I was going, they kept saying, Sumba, you will do well. And that was the dose of courage I needed. And when I started my business, the business of service, you can imagine, it's not trading. I'm not selling what you can see, what you can taste, what you can touch. You have to experience it. So it means that someone has to give me that privilege to be able to serve them. How did I get my first customers? I started just, talking about what events are. I started broadcasting, talking about, what I can do. So I hired myself. It was my son's first 50th birthday. So I asked him, what would you like to do? What would you want me to do? Would you like to have Barney at your party? He said yes. So I did that well and used the pictures to just, broadcast on my social media. And my colleagues started to give me jobs. And that was how I landed my big break in my business. So do not forget character, relationships, and make sure at every level you don't leave anything undone. Thank you so much.
So, oh, I was muted. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thanks, 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 thanks. Character, relationships, and just where you are. I think for me, one of the things that really stood out is the fact that even when it wasn't yours, you gave it your best, because that's always the thing. And people in the career space, and a lot of people, I don't think there's anybody in the career world that would not have heard this is above my pay grade. It's almost like a common term. People say this is above my pay grade, this is above my pay grade, because many of us are not so conscious of the fact that even though where you are, might not be yours in terms of owning it, is actually yours, because every employee, whether in business or in career, wherever you are, you have a stake. You actually do have a stake. You have a stake in it. So it's important that our people are very, very conscious of those. Thank you so much for giving us just that little insight. We're still going to come back to you for more. Thanks for that inspiring session. Now to Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel. Let's know your story in 5 minutes. Give us the high points of your stories. Just give us in 5 minutes. We want to hear you. Thank you.
All right. Good day, everyone. And the reason is because I don't know where people are joining from. So, good day to everybody. Thank you, Madam Victoria, for this wonderful opportunity. I count it a great privilege and wonderful one. Mrs. Sumbo, thank you very much. Your story is an inspiring story, and I can't wait to hear more of that story. And I just want to also say thank you to Mrs. Yemi, Mr. Yemi, sorry. And as we wait to also hear from him, I would have wanted everybody to speak before me so that I won't have to speak. I won't have to say so much, you know. Well, like I said when we had the taster session on Instagram, I said that even that my story inspires me as a person. So when I listen to my story, I get inspired. And I recently authored a book at my 40th birthday titled Coming to Lagos, How I Succeeded Against All Odds. And when I started reading the book myself, I was inspired that, okay, this is a story worth reading. And my story is quite much, and I know that this one meeting cannot do justice to the entire story, but I'll just say the bit that I can say right now, and in the course of the program we'll be able to explore more. My story started from birth. My journey started from when I was born. I was born to a family of five, four girls, and I'm the only boy, and I happen to be the last born. It's expected that the last born is supposed to enjoy a couple of privileges, but unfortunately, that was not my case. As at age 8, I was already out of the house, trying to learn one or two things, trying to do one or two things. By age 13, I was out of school. I came to Lagos in search for money. Some people come to Lagos for different reasons. I came specifically because I wanted to make money. So because I observed a couple of my uncles, brothers, and cousins who came back from Lagos, and they were doing quite a number of things, even though some of them borrowed the money to buy the car or whatever. But whenever you ask anybody who looked like a successful person in those days when we used to go to the village, they will say, I came from Lagos. And I felt, okay, if everybody who is looking successful came from Lagos, then there must be something about this Lagos. We all need to go and look at it. So I decided to drop out of school. I was in JSS2 when I dropped out of school. I followed my elder sister and her husband who came around then, had an accident, and we took care of him. After we were done, he actually even fired up my, crave for coming to Lagos. And I followed them. I came to Lagos. I started apprenticeship in a particular electrical parts shop somewhere around Idimu, Lagos here. And I did that for 4 years. After 4 years, my elder sister, who alongside with her husband brought me to Lagos, died. She died she was 9 months pregnant when she died. Somebody poisoned her in a meeting that she attended. It was a pathetic time for me. For like 2 weeks, I didn't believe she died, because I couldn't believe that somebody could poison a 9 months old, 9 months pregnant woman. And they tried to rescue the child, but the child didn't survive it. The child also died. Because of that, she was more like the light of our family. She was the only one that seems to have anything substantial that we could relate with. And because of that, I felt my hope was dead. We went to the village to bury her. By the time we were done, I said I wasn't coming back to Lagos. Before then, I've actually started considering of going back to school. That I needed to go back to school because it didn't look well for me. In the morning, I take my bath, and I stay in the shop and observe other kids go to school. I told him I wanted to go back to school, but my in-law then, which happened to me, my elder sister's husband, impressed on my mom that I should come back and just even complete the 7 years of service so that they will settle me, then I can go. But when I came back, After 1 year, I told them I couldn't continue. That it's either they settle me with whatever they can settle me now, or leave me so that I can go and do whatever I wanted to do. And thank God I took that decision. I was not settled, but fast forward, after giving my 5 years to the business, I wasn't settled. Fast forward today, God has settled me. I can tell you, is much more the settlement of God in my life is much more better than what I would have experienced with my in-law. And today, I extend helping hand to a couple of the people who were settled. I still heard of one last week that he was settled. He was given all the things he needed to start up his own business, but he still had issues. All of them that were settled today, they have so much issues, and some of them cannot even feed their family. But I thank God that God settled me, and today I'm not just feeding my family, I'm feeding many families. Went out from there. I started attending government technical college. That's in the cartoon there, tried to do a couple of things, struggled. Growing up, I practically taught myself everything, just being inspired. I said it before now that I taught myself how to read and write. As I time I came to Lagos, I couldn't read very well. I couldn't write. I had to sit myself down and told myself, you have to keep practicing on how to read and write. So practice. Personally, I taught myself how to read and write. So anything I could do academically today is more like something I taught myself, and I pushed myself to be able to learn. Fast forward, I went to work with a couple of companies. I've worked with several companies, from a financial services company to a production company. I've done combined, I would have done like up to 10 years of working for people. But one of the things that was very regular about me was, from childhood, I've always had this entrepreneurship thing in me. I was maybe 7 or 8 years when I told my mom I wanted to go and hawk, because one of my friends used to hawk for his mom. And whenever he retired the funds, the mom would give him some tips. So I felt I needed some tips too, so that I can go to school, buy one or two things, and I told my mom. My mom did not allow me anyway, but I sneaked out with him. And when the mom gave him his tip, he gave me a little out of it. And I was very happy. I wanted to keep doing it until my mom discovered I was going to do that, and she discouraged me so greatly. So that entrepreneurship thing has been in me. So that's why when I came to Lagos, even though I was working, I was busy doing business. I was making more money doing one or two businesses than I was making, in the place where they were paying me. Um, Fast forward, I got married to one of the most beautiful women in the world. And when we got married, we were living in a 3-bedroom flat. The 3-bedroom flat, two of them were rented to some of my friends so that we could pay the rent. And we had too many seats in the house, too many seats. The reason why we had too many seats was that I had a rug that had pattern. So each of the plane and pattern is the seat. So when you come to our house, you have to sit down on the floor. When we even gave birth to our first child, it was a struggle paying the hospital bill. It was a major struggle, but I'm someone that I'm resolute about success. It wasn't as if I've not made money. I made my first million at the very early stage. I think when I was already 23, I had already made my first million. By 22, 23, I'd already made my first million. But while we're investing in the capital market crashed, and that was where we're functioning seriously, and everything I made went down the drain. The company that we're even working also went down, and it was back to square zero. And that was when I said I wanted to get married. So I got married at minus zero, and we started. Now, fast forward, we struggled, gave it all it took, and started the company called Pertinence. Now, when we started that company, I started the company alongside with my business partner, Dr. Sunday Olorunsheyi. It was from minus zero, because as at that time we were owing bank. We took a loan from the bank, 500,000 naira, and we could not pay. We're just struggling with it, doing a whole lot of things. But one of the things that you could tell about us was, in that office called Primatech Plaza, somewhere in Akunwonjo there. Primatech Plaza, we just took a particular suit, and in that office, we were the first people. We usually would be the first people to get to the office, and will be the last people to leave the office. We were die-hard workaholic. We were just giving it all it took, and we never left our verbal expression. We were always saying where we're going. Sometimes when I look at the pictures of when I used to do training those days for for the people that were going to work with us, I used to wonder what did they see in me and my partner that made them follow us. But I can also remember that they saw the fact that, number one, we're committed to the cause that we're pursuing. Number two, we're committed to the things we were saying. We're not saying little things, we're saying big things. And they could see that from the little things, the big things we were saying, some of them were already coming to pass, and they were committed to us. And today we have grown a very big organization, turning over in billions of naira. And we have also spread our tentacles to many places in the world: Dubai, Canada, the US, and the UK. And we're doing pretty well. From one company, we have gone to register about 10 subsidiaries, and right now we are doing very well. We are from real estate to fintech to microfinance to construction to whatever, what have you. We have also done that. So the story has been a story of inspiration, the story of never giving up, always holding on to what is right, never saying no, never saying, never talking down on yourself. I remember, during the time when I was just coming up, I went to my elder sister one day, and my elder sister really suffered in my hand because she was one I was using to experiment the things I was hearing and the things I was reading. Sometimes I read and the things are, coming out of me, and I'm looking for expression. So one of the days I went to meet her, I said, my sister, that look, the day I ever ask you for money again, know that something has gone on with my head. And she looked at me and said, what's wrong with you? You're a small boy. Keep quiet. And I was living in their house, squatting in their house, and I could go and tell somebody that the day I ever asked you for money, know that something has gone wrong with my head. She was like, what is wrong with this boy? But it was out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth was speaking. One time I told her, I said, look, I am now the new definition of wealth in our family. That before you talk about wealth, you must call me. And she was looking at me. But as I said it, that is how it has now materialized. That is the way it is. And we have not even started. We are just on the journey. One of the things I would say to anybody who is hearing these stories, and you will see hear more, is that, look, if someone like me can succeed, then every other person has a chance at success. I didn't have education. Education was one of the major odds against me. No education, no rich background, no wonderful parents. I didn't even stay with my mom as long. I stayed with my other sister. From there I came to Lagos, and there wasn't good parenting as such. My mom had a lot of influence in me, but the time of parenting was not there. And yet I came to Lagos, defied all odds, and succeeded. And today I'm someone that is being said to be one of the success stories of Lagos. I've done many projects where I invited a lot of people. I've done projects where we involved the mayor of Brampton in Canada. I've done projects where we involved the governor of Lagos and all of that. So, this is somebody who came to Lagos as nothing, came to Lagos as somebody who should be sleeping under the bridge, but yet is someone that has become successful, that people can look towards and say, look, I want to be like this guy. So I want to say to you that if I can succeed, anybody has a chance at success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel. And just taking a cue from your very last point, if you can succeed, anybody can take a chance at succeeding. And I think I even like the way you put it. It's not just that anybody can succeed, you must be willing to take that chance, and the chances are there. You must be willing. So it's about the actions you take. Typically, we hear anybody can succeed. And the truth is, well, maybe not everybody. It is those that implement, that can succeed. Thank you so much. And all of things that you talked about the inspiration, being in a place where you are inspired by the successes of others. You talked about, That's Lagos. There must be something there that everybody that has the look of success, is coming from Lagos. You did talk about never giving up, and very importantly, the power of positive confession. Yeah, and when you were talking about those days of trainings, I remember one of those days, because I remember coming there, to also run, to partner on the training session, and and like we will say, see how far you've come, and imagine now hearing you say you haven't even started. Thank you for sharing your story. There'll be more questions coming through. So again, going back to
Thank you.
Mrs. Adesumbo Adeoye, thank you so much. That was excellent. Thank you, Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel. Now I'm going to Mr. Yemi Fashion. We want to hear you. We want to hear your story. Without me giving any preamble again, let's hear you. Tell us what has
Okay.
defined you. Thank you.
All right. Good day, everyone. Again, let me stand on the existing protocol by say that I'm not sure where people are listening from or watching from. So good day, everyone, and thank you, Mrs. Ibarra, for inviting me. Thank you for inviting us, and happy birthday. Wishing you many more years. Cheers to the next 40 and 50 and so on. Um, so, what's my story? My story is how do I put it now? My story can be categorized into different phases of my, and I always like to start by saying that it's a story of being solidly grounded first at home, because without that grounding of discipline at home, it might be difficult to become what we have become today. So yeah, being grounded at home. Can you hear me, please? Just confirm if you can hear me.
Can. Yes, we can.
You can. Okay, thank you. So that grounding at home was very very important for me. So this is how I always try to summarize my upbringing. I say that I grew up in a harsh, narrow Christian way. So it was very guided. It was very narrow. It wasn't a free for all, or you want to do anything because you're an only son situation. No, it wasn't. It was very, very narrow and guided. And that provided a sort of solid foundation on which things were now built over the years. So that's number one. Number two, I'll also say that it was it was or it's been a journey of focus from after failing very early in life. So my story is very, very similar to the first speaker, um, Sumbo, when she said she failed, and she failed early but failed forward. So I quickly failed. I failed when I finished my school set, and I thought I was brilliant. But by the time I saw the results, I realized that I wasn't brilliant at all. I realized that the things that I should have done getting ready by studying, I didn't do because I was under the illusion that I was brilliant. So when the results came and I failed, I realized that okay, something needed to give. I need to now understand how to sit down to read. Right before then, it was just oh yeah. I mean, I passed primary one, I passed into primary six, and then I'm going to secondary school in flying colors. So why are we sitting down to read? But after failing, and again, similar to Simba, I failed mathematics, and it took me about four trials, four attempts to make mathematics eventually. But then I had to go do A levels. And by the time I was getting to the university, my colleagues or mates were already in year three, and I was getting into IFE in year one. But by that time, believe me, I had matured seriously from a focus perspective, from being serious, because failure will teach you many lessons. Like I said, there are three dimensions of life or time: the past, the present, and the future. If you don't take lessons from the past into the present, then we will totally miss it. So what I did was to take lessons from my failures quickly, and then it gave me focus, gave me serious focus for my university education. I knew exactly what I wanted to get out of school with before I started school, and I worked very, very hard towards that. So number one was the background. Number two was the focus that I therefore got from failing and failing early. And then I got into a situation where I was practically thinking about the future almost almost on a daily basis. I wasn't getting carried away with the fact that, okay, yes, I was now doing very well in academics, but I was already thinking of the future. I was thinking, for instance, that yeah, for me to get ahead in school, because I was studying English, I needed to move away from that to either study law or to do an MBA. So I had MBA stuck in my head, in my brain, every time I was thinking about the future. And eventually, as life will have it, because I totally believe that our words and our thoughts and our focus, they are raw materials that we send as messages to the universe, and the universe will bring them back to us in form of our realities. And I found myself going through the MBA route eventually after my youth service. So it was about also thinking of the future while not forgetting to be excellent in what I was doing at the moment. Somebody this morning, one of my proteges, put up something and he said, "Plan for the future, but don't be absent from the present." That's Emmanuel Samuel. I mean, I found that very profound when I saw it, and that's what I had tried, and I'm using my words deliberately. That's what I have tried to do over the years, planning for the future, focusing on the future, but never forgetting to be present in the moment. And that has helped me also in the course of my career when I found myself in sales, found myself in marketing, and then I moved on to human resources. One of the things I wanted to do as soon as I found myself in human resources was I wanted to be the best human resources person. I'm not the best. I'm still on a journey. I'm still learning daily. So far from being the best. But as soon as I found myself in that profession, I just realized I need to do things differently. And what I did was every opportunity for me to acquire knowledge, to read books, to practice the things that I read, I didn't miss it. Um, then I left school, and another thing that is instructive for me was I realized that I read more books when I left school than when I was in school. So I started reading books of guys who had gone ahead of me, great guys. A few guys within the local African continent, but more guys around the Western world. So I was reading Zig Ziglar, his books. I still have them till now. I'm talking of the early 90s, right? Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Anthony Robbins. And there was a particular book that I'll never forget. It talks about the profiles of success. I mean, I read so many people, so many guys in different fields of sales, tech, entrepreneurs, FMCG manufacturing, guys who have done great stuff, and their profiles were summarized, and they put down the things that they had to do to get to where they were. I read that book and it just fired me up. So I read more books. When I say that I don't have a mentor physically, or I've not had a mentor, I will always go back to the fact that I had mentors who had gone ahead by writing or documenting their journeys, and those journeys became almost like what I needed to have my own roadmap towards success. And as soon as I started moving into leadership positions in my career, I started reading John Maxwell. John Maxwell is my go-to person from a leadership perspective. I've read so many of his leadership books. I'm still reading one of his books now. One of his latest books, "Talent is Not Enough." Talent is never enough. I mean, I've been very slow reading it, but that's the latest of John C. Maxwell's book that I'm reading. So books have been very, very important. The next thing important for me was I realized that also as I was going ahead in my career, it was not enough for me to have intellectual intelligence, IQ. It was important for me to now to have a almost like a standard of social intelligence relating with people, because based on the things that I read from many books, I realized that I wasn't going to do or be successful alone. I needed people. So I needed my colleagues. I needed my associates or reports. I needed my boss. I needed everyone around me to be successful. So I started moving towards, without necessarily coming across anything emotional intelligence, but I quickly realized that from the examples of individuals or the profiles of successes that I'd read, it was important for me to have a level head from a social intelligence perspective. It eventually metamorphosed over the years into emotional intelligence, and that helped me to succeed in my journey as I moved ahead in my career. But two things that I'll say lastly will be that IQ plus EQ was great for me, but the point when I started getting into organizational leadership, those two things were no longer enough. And I didn't realize it in good time. By the time I realized the first time, it was too late. I actually literally lost my job because my political quotient was zero. I was only focusing on professionalism, do your job, don't be fan wanting, get great appraisals, get great grades, and get promoted and move on. But I failed to realize that organizational awareness at leadership, at functional plus organizational level leadership, was going to become more important. And therefore, by the time I realized my political naivety within the space of work, it was late in the first instance. And I learned from that, did better as I continued. But again, it caught up with me as I focused a lot more on professionalism and personal development and growth and neglecting the part of PQ. But I got better over a period of time and I was able to now manage better upwardly. So, what I'm saying is that those two last points of EQ, very, very important for success. Please, it's not just that you must know your onions about your job. If you're an accountant or a salesperson or an HR person or a supply chain person, all well and good. But it is also extremely important that as you begin to close the gap on the career ladder, meaning that you are going up, you must start adding EQ to your IQ and then PQ to your IQ and EQ for sustainable success along your journey. And I will say to you, I always say this and I'll say it again. I am not saying that we should play politics. Don't get me wrong. I'm only saying that our level of political awareness must match our growth in our career. At some point in our career, I wouldn't expect us to have a lot of PQ. I'll expect a lot of IQ. After a while, I'll expect you to add EQ to it. And then lastly, as you continue to grow, you cannot be caught naive from a political intelligence perspective. So many people have had their careers cut short just because they were politically naive. So that's it for me. From my, just like Sumbo said, from my failure experiences, those are the things I've taken with me in terms of my career journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So amazing. You touched on different areas. And I was just saying to myself when you talked about that bit about PQ, and I was like, that's my story. That's my story. And so really, and coincidentally, I had an Instagram live session one time and I was talking about my regrets, some things I wish I did differently. And that has been a major regret, looking back. Thank you so much. And I want to say this. I want to say, read this from one of the things you said. You said our words, our focus, are raw materials, that go into the universe, and then it comes back to us as our reality. The things that we say, also reinforcing what Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel said earlier, the things that we say, how they come back. Mrs. Sumbo spoke about focus also, So I see a theme going through every one of you, has spoken. The desire to just be resilient, resolute in the things that we desire. So there's foremost a desire. I really can't talk about everything, but there's enough time. I'm going to ask our speakers, please. There's going to be a lot more questions beyond the questions that have come in. As we were speaking, more questions were coming through, from what you are saying. So I do have some questions for you. But let me go back to the way we started, Mrs. Sumbo. Quickly, I'm going to ask you a 2-in-1 question so that you can, give us these two answers. People are looking up to you, and as much as I don't like to have panelists and I now bring them to say, as a woman, really, I try to go away from that, but I'm sorry, I'm going to do that. As much as, you
No,
usually hear
it's
people
not a
say,
problem. We can't shy away from the issues our gender go through. It's different,
exactly.
honestly. Please go ahead,
I can
ma.
see the gentleman smiling. Thank you. Okay, that's true. So the question really is a 2-in-1 question. One is, in stepping out for what you desired, what you wanted to go into, what has been your greatest fear? And so when I say this, I'm not just talking about business, across board, in the impact you're making in every area. What are your greatest fears? What were the things that could have held you back? And then the other question is, if you want to look back, I know that you recently celebrated your 40th, I think that was last year. If you look back to your 20-year-old self, your 25-year-old self, let me peg it at 25. What will you tell that self? Knowing what you know today, how you've thrived, what would you tell that self? So two questions in one. What were your greatest fears that could have held you back, or maybe they even held you back? And then what just tell your 25-year-old self a short note.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much for this question. I'm going to start answering with the second one. What I will tell my 20-year-old self. What I'm going to tell my 20-year-old self is, do not be conformed with this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. A lot of things have been adulterated. We come into this world, we absorb everything everyone is saying without necessarily asking God, what is the blueprint of my life? Because He created us. When you buy a new gadget, it comes with a manual. It tells you the functionalities of this gadget you just bought. If gadgets that come with manuals are not read, what you end up seeing is people use these gadgets without maximizing their potential. See, a lot of us are created in the image of God after His likeness, and He has put inside of us, whether 10-year-old, 5-year-old, 15-year-old, 20-year-old, 40-year-old, and above, He has put inside of us seeds that have the capacity to develop into forest. However, we become conformed with this world, and then we absorb all the lies that tells you, no, you can't do this because you failed maths. Oh, you cannot move forward because you failed in that relationship. Oh, you can't move forward because you cannot speak Queen's English, you cannot read. I mean, you heard from Mr. Ezekiel. He had to learn how to read. You heard from Mr. Fashio. He had to absorb certain knowledge, but he was also present with time. I'm going to tell you today, do not be conformed with this world. Whatever it is, detour that you face is just for a while. Rise above it. If you need to get more knowledge, get more knowledge. See, drop your age. Age is irrelevant. Their competence is what is important. So if you start off as someone who maybe is a security guard and you want to change the status quo, it starts with renewing your mind. Get knowledge. I've seen a security guard in the banking industry move up to be an operations staff. What did he do? He only invested 2 years into going in search of knowledge to get a polytechnic national diploma, what we call the ordinary national diploma. That is just the change that will elevate him from the salary of a security guard who stands outside in the sun to elevate you to become an operations staff who sits behind the counter in an air-conditioned room. So it is up to you. Be renewed. Let your mind be renewed. You are not your past. You can start now. Drop your age. Age is irrelevant. Seek after competence. And while you are at it, now these are some of the things that were my fears. My fears was like, if I do not scale this level, I can't get to the next level. Now, see, you are going to scale that level, you'll get to the next level. But remember, there's going to be another detour in that next level. See, a lot of people make it look like failure is a bad thing. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is actually a good thing because it makes you discover some sort of things that you have inside of you that you never really know you could. See, I developed resilience, courage, and the can-do spirit just because I failed. So I took it upon myself. I told you when I failed in high school, I said to myself, I said, the moment I get into the university, I'm going to do well. And because of that, I had that resilience. I just wanted to get into the university. So when I got into the university, it wasn't about faffing around. It wasn't about wasting time. It wasn't about trying to be like every other person. I knew I was not in the same level with my peer. I needed to be different. I needed to be the best. So I went like that to absorb that knowledge, and then my status changed. You have the capacity to change the status quo in your life, and then God, who created you in His image after His likeness, has put inside of you dig deep into the word of God, find out what your purpose is. You discover your purpose by serving. You discover your purpose by looking for ways to be able to also churn out solutions to other people, because that was how I discovered my purpose. See, purpose is not it's not going to come and jump on you. A lot of people discover purpose from the place of pain. I discovered my purpose from the place of failure. I didn't want any other person to go through what I've gone through, so I decided to pay it forward. So by paying it forward, I discovered, oh, this is what I'm called to do. So I started doing it, and from doing it and doing it consistently. Now, there's one thing for you to just do. There's another thing for you to do it repeatedly, because it becomes your purpose. It becomes something you are driven about. The motive becomes right. You continue to fine tune it. Then the world will hear about it. Now, you also need to understand why you are doing what you're doing, because the why actually matter. Make sure that the motive is not selfish. Make sure that the motive is something that is yearning towards making others better, towards creating solutions for other people. When the motive is right, success is inevitable. I hope I still have more time so I can share. There's something I wrote here on my note that I would like to share. I said, greatness is sure when you serve. Now, listen, I went to Lagos Business School after I resigned from banking, and then I go into Lagos Business School. After doing that, I decided, oh, it's possible for female entrepreneurs to actually do well if they can curb startup failure. So I started to help people up. No, you're not going to fail in this business. You're going to survive. And I'm going to ensure that you survive in that business. I'm going to ensure that you do well in that business. So I started by shared influence, by mentorship, by advisory services for free, by setting up the Inspiring Change Conference, where we bring women who've been able to bridge gender gap in their respective professions to people who aspire to be like them. And then they talk about how they fail, how they survive the failure, how they choose, how they talk in the boardroom. By bringing these people together, I was growing several thousands of lineage of women who are go-getters. And because of doing that, I started to attract the kind of brands that their visions aligned with mine. So I started to work with ExxonMobil. I started to work with Adventure. I became a Cherry Blair Foundation brand ambassador. I became the youth ambassador for change for the Transforming Nigerian Youth by MasterCard Foundation. And the list is endless. So do not allow the fact that you failed in one thing determine what the future holds for you, because there is more to you. And there's a seed of greatness on your inside. Do not allow it to be dormant because of what the standard of the world is. Go into the blueprints that God has designed for you. Seek after his promises for you. Believe it, imbibe it, get knowledge, but don't just get it by writing it down. Don't just get it by reading it. Do what it says you should do. That's when it becomes your result. Thank you so much. I hope I've been able to answer that question.
You have, yes, you have. Yes, you have. And I don't know, I don't know which line to pick. There were so much things said. I don't know which line.
Because I felt the time was going. Let me just rush it.
Yes. You really. I knew you were speaking fast. So let me say this. One of the things you said: do not allow the failures that you've experienced. Let's paraphrase, though. That I've experienced determine where you're going to become the code for your life. You said that. Don't allow what you've experienced to become the code for your life. And you hit what Inspired for Impact really is about. You said there's greatness in you, and that greatness should not be dormant. So when we organize a session like this, we expect people who are joining to be able to connect aspects of their lives to the stories that our speakers are sharing. So you've talked about failure in school. You talked about the way you just knew that when you were working in the bank, you wanted more, and you didn't see yourself as a failure. You moved on from there and, looked at some other life experiences. And today you said something when you were mentioning the brands that you work with, and you said the list is endless because there's so much more that you couldn't even share. So it's coming from, again, linking to what Mr. Yemi Fasho shared initially, and also Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel, talking about the focus that we get from failure. The focus that we get from failure. And I'm saying this to as many that are joining us today. It's not enough to just listen to the stories. I like you, as you listen in, begin to look at the different aspects of your life, the different areas that you think you may not be measuring up, with others or to others, different things that you think you should have gone far ahead. And I think it was Mrs. Adeoye that said earlier, you said, irrespective of your age, irrespective of your age. There's greatness in everyone. So it might look like you lost the quotient that you should have gotten at certain points when you got to a very enviable place in your career, but because you didn't have, the political awareness, the organizational awareness, you missed out on some great opportunities. Or maybe it's even a background issue because you didn't have the right background, and then the opportunities that others around you are having, it seems like you lost out of it. That's why we brought our speakers. If you listen to every one of them, different experiences, but today they're making waves, they're making impact, and people are looking up to them both as mentors and as role models. Your story can be the same. And guess what? Even better. Your story can actually be even better. And we want to hear your stories after this event. In subsequent events, we would like to hear from you. Thank you so, so much, ma'am. We're going to come back to more rounds of questions. But at this point, I'd like to, say a huge appreciation to brands who decided to partner with us this year. Some brands partner with us. There's a back-end story to that partnering. there's a back-end story. So if you've been with us from 2020 to 2021, you know that we really didn't have partners. It was just us doing our thing. And in speaking to one of our speakers, Mrs. Ade, she was asking me, so how do you fund Inspire for Impact? I was like, he's self-funded. She said, oh, okay, Inspiring Change, this is what we do. You can get people to partner with you. And for those who partner with us, you can tell that our adverts, our request came late. It was amazing. And I can tell you this, it came from relationships. Everybody here has spoken about relationships. So it came from just calling people, and they just want to say thank you. So calling people and they rose up, to the occasion. So we'll just give them just a minute each to showcase what they do. And then we're also going to be displaying the brand. Then we'll come back to the question. Please, please, please. It is getting hotter, getting more interesting. We promised you a no-holds-barred conversation. Our speakers have agreed to that. So immediately after the sponsored video, you will be coming back and you will get a lot for your time. Please don't step.
Have you ever wanted your pictures to come alive in a beautiful frame better than the regular wooden frame? With aesthetics and brilliant colors? Worry no more. Let's take you on a journey to the future with Daffodils Corporate Image Limited, bringing you Chromalox HD metal panels. Daffodils, the only approved partner of Chromalox in West Africa, dazzles you with high-colored brilliance that brings out the beauty of your picture in a metal panel and beautifies your homes, offices, banking halls, and receptions. Chromalox HD panels last longer than 50 years, and it is scratch resistant, fire resistant, lightweight, and durable than every other panel, whether it is family portrait, personal scenery, descriptors, or environment beautification. Chromalox HD metal panel stands out. For more information, call 081 731 06359 or visit us at number 16B is Grace Building, Mokola, Ibadan.
Please let me know you can hear me. Oh, awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to come back to the questions and then subsequently we will play the other videos. So I'm going straight into the question. My speakers, are you ready for the hot seat? Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. So my question now, I'm going to go back to Mr. Wisdom, Ezekiel. Let me put you on the hot seat now. So you've talked a lot about the giant strides you have made. People will look at the environment in Nigeria and the ease of doing business isn't what you would expect. But then there are a lot of people that will tell you that this is where the money is. There's one case study that we had during my MBA class where someone was saying, it was in an airplane, a white man was saying, I think to a Kenyan, and was saying to him that you guys don't know what you have. Africa is gold. And we all see, well, the jackpot is another topic. I would try not to talk about that here in terms of us looking for something else. We would try, because we do have a program, a quarterly program coming up in January that will focus fully on that. So let's not go into jackpot. But my question for you is, given the environment, even given, what you have done so far, given where you're coming from, I want to know what mistakes, because it seems that your story is beautiful, interesting, but I know that you also have made some mistakes. And so the people want to know, what are the mistakes that you've made that if you look back, you would have done differently? Just give us one or two examples. Take a moment to reflect.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I must say that I have been learning a lot from this program. I've been listening to other speakers and hearing their stories. I'm really inspired. Um, Doing business in Nigeria is actually very interesting. Nigeria may have its challenges, different challenges that we face in doing business in Nigeria, ranging from lack of infrastructure to lack of funding, to ease of doing business and all of that. But Nigeria still remains one of the best places in the whole world to do business. I've had opportunity to travel to many countries in the world, and I can tell you, and I've had opportunities to live. I've lived in America, I've lived in Canada. Presently, my family stays in Canada, and I've also stayed in the UK for a little while, and I've done businesses there. I can tell you, there is no place in the world where we are making the kind of business strive that we are making in Nigeria. And I want to say that to anybody who wants to take the chance of staying back and not jackbarring. If you want to stay back and push through, and having the help from people, resources that you can get from mentorship, from coaches, and being somebody who is resolute about becoming successful, I can tell you Nigeria is a fertile ground. Just you may be contending with a lot of issues, but the reward is also very enormous. And just like I said, where you have challenges is where you make the most money. Now, looking at the mistakes that we have made in business, that I have made in business, one of it is very important that everybody knows. It is actually putting people, recruiting the right people and putting them at the right places. Now, that does not mean that we have all the time we've had the wrong set of people in our business. No. Times it might even be that you have the right people, but you have not been able to design the structure to utilize their talent. So it's also being able to realize when you need to start introducing professionals into your business. There are some things that we are struggling with now as a business that we should have gone past. And I can trace it to the fact that we did not introduce professionals early enough to our business. Right now, we have introduced a lot of professionals into our business, and the business is becoming much more impactful. But I wish we had done that early enough, because there are different seasons of your business. When your business is just starting, you can do with who is available. But at some point in the business, you have to now look out for who can do the job, who can deliver, not essentially who is available, because when the preferable is not available, the available becomes preferable, can only be accepted at the very beginning of your business. By the time you start advancing business, it is very important you start putting professionals in the right place. Secondly, we did not start seeking for external funding on time. We used to brag. I think the first 6 to 7 or even 8 years of the business, we never took money, because the first time we took money from bank was a bad experience. We struggled to pay. That was when we were going to start the business. Before we even started, we had a sister company that, through the sister company, we were able to arrange a loan from the bank to start up a particular business. The business failed, and we were indebted. That was when we now started Pertinence, our own business, and we're already indebted to the tune of 500,000 naira. And because of that experience with the bank, we felt, no, we're not going to deal with the bank any longer, and we're just bootstrapping and just using native intelligence to run the business. But it got to a point where it became very strenuous, it became very demanding and tasking for us to be able to take the business to the next level. And we started opening up for funding. The first set of fundings that we opened up to were very, very, I call them dangerous funding, because they put us under a lot of pressure. In the last couple of months, I've had to deny myself of a couple of things because we're paying back those dangerous funding. And right now, we have now been able to open up to the right kind of funding. And I can tell you the kind of ease with which, people who listen to our story want to invest into our business. So understanding the right kind of funding at each level of your business is very important, because you need funding. There is need for capital to do business. You need to be able to, in fact, sometimes when you are doing business and you have not been able to take any facility, you tend to become very callous in spending, because there's nothing diluting your portfolio. So one of the things that is advised is, and when you even take funding and you are able to do it on a regular basis, you are able to build your credit worthiness, and build your credit credibility and all of that. So because when the bank want to deal with you, they want to see how much have you taken, how much have you paid back. That history will really help. But knowing when to do that and how to do it and do it effectively is very, very important. Also, getting into wrong businesses. I can tell you that in the 10 years of running Pertinence, we have entered into wrong businesses, believing people that, should not be believed. The other day, somebody came to borrow money from me, and the person was telling me, you will pay back. I say, well, I have never seen anybody who went to borrow money and told the person that he was borrowing money from, that I will not pay this money back. Everybody will promise to pay back. It is when it's time to pay that we now know who will pay. So while I was talking to the person, I showed the person a lot of a file that I had of different wrong businesses, wrong people that we have had to deal with in the course of our business. The thing is, you must learn from the experience of others. That's why you must have mentors in business who can look at some things and be able to guide you. At the middle of this year, there was a particular project that we were supposed to embark on. That project was going to cost us about between 6 to 8 billion naira, and we're supposed to, engage in that particular project. And I took the project to my mentor and I said, this is a project we wanted to do. And my mentor said, no, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Wisdom. Don't go there. You will thank me later. To be sincere, today, I still called him 2 weeks ago and I said, thank you, sir, for helping me out of this. Sometimes not having mentors can be the greatest mistake you can ever do. And sometimes some people have mentors, but they don't listen to the mentors. Listen to your mentors. That's why you need to have the right ones, so that when they say anything, you can listen to them. Till tomorrow, I'm giving thanks to to my mentor, and I can see the person is Dr. Olumide Emmanuel. I don't hide him. He was the one that told me, say, wisdom, you guys don't enter that deal. That deal is going to crash. And as I speak to you right now, the person who eventually entered the deal is crying right about now. So those are a few of the. If you need me, I will talk from now to tomorrow about experience. It is failure that brought us here, to be sincere. Anybody who can't take failure the right way may never be able to succeed. It is failure. You fail, you learn from your failure, you move on. But as much as possible, try not to, always learn from your own failure. Learn from people's experience. Is a better teacher.
Thank you very, very much. So much to say, so much to pick from it, so much And I believe that the people who are either in business already or considering business, there's a lot you've learned. Having the right people, having them in the right places, getting the right funding, listening to people who have gone ahead, either as mentors or as role models, who have gone through, walked through the path that you decide you want to walk, and they know how it feels to be in those shoes. Just listening and then getting that. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're going to go to Mr. Yemi Fashion, but let me say this immediately after this question. I'm saying this now, to everybody and to our audience, both to my speakers and to my audience. After this round of question, we're going to go on a speed dial. Every question, we'll see what we can do in 1 to 2 minutes. That is after this particular question. We'll give you time to answer this, and in the last about 35 minutes, we would have so that we can just do 2 minutes, but just give us top, top point. But now this is part of the questions where we want you to delve into it. And Mr. Yemi Fashion, if I ask you this question, I'm sure you'll be like, oh, this question again. And it's world of work. The world of work as we have it. I'm sure you've had so many comments, so many sessions you've handled in it. Some of the questions that came through for you, some of them I'm like, should I not ask? Well, comes questions, maybe you told us no old birds, coming through. So but we will get there so that you just give us those tips. In today's world of work, given where we are, researches that were done, COVID came, the things would have changed. Maybe at best, it fast-tracked some things that would have happened later, but a lot of researches have come through. We've talked about the fourth industrial revolution and the impact it will have. The question for you as a thought leader in the HR space and someone who is also a leadership transformation consultant, what would you say to the career professionals on this call listening? What would be that distinguishing factor for them in the current world of work? I know it's a very broad question, but we want you to take it anyway. What would stand them out, either locally, globally, whatever space they want to play in, but in the professional career space? What are the key things that would stand anybody out in the world of work of today and also of the future? Thank you.
All right. So I'll narrow down by starting from where you actually stopped. And that is you saying that COVID came and changed so many things about today's world, not just work. It changed our lives. It changed the way we go to church, the way we go to school. It changed so many things about us. And I don't think it was COVID that really brought about the now of work. It's more technology, right? So maybe like 3, 4, 5 years ago, we had been talking about the future of work. But like you rightly said, yes, COVID fast-tracked or fast-forwarded that future. So we need to, now that it seems that COVID has gone back to where it came from, hopefully, let's go back to that technology and understand exactly how it changed the world and how it's still going to change our world. And this is what I'll say. I see so many young people say now, everybody's saying tech. I'm going into tech. In fact, you see HR people now, they are all tech recruiters. They're all global tech HR people. Everybody's going into tech. I don't think the idea is for us to abandon every profession or everything that we are doing and say that we want to do tech. Tech is an enabler in any space that we find ourselves today. So if you are in supply chain, what do you need to know? What do you need to leverage on around tech so that you can do supply chain better? Or human resources, or sales, or customer service, or whatever profession. So what I will advise is do not leave tech behind in your pursuit of the future. Take tech with you. Tech is changing. The rate of change has been alarming around tech, and the rate of change will also become alarming in the next couple of years. So we all need to feel at home with technology in whatever space that we find ourselves. I'll say it again, tech is an enabler is not taking over all the professions, but it is also taking over all the professions because there is everything about every job, every role that we can do better with our appreciation of technology. So we need to understand that the future work that we were talking about is here now. The future of work is no longer in the next 2 years or 5 years. We're now in the now of work. And what is driving all the changes around how we do everything is technology. So we must come back to how can I leverage technology to do the things that I'm doing in my space. You can still be the best HR person. You can still be the best consultant in whatever area you are. You can still be the best salesperson, but you can't do it the way you were doing it before. Now it has to be how can I leverage technology to do the things that I want to do. So I'll say it again, tech is an enabler. And rather than thinking that we all need to abandon what we are doing and move into tech, we all won't be software developers. We all won't be coding. But the guys who are coding and the software developers are making life easier for us in our different areas. So we need to understand how we can therefore translate the things they are doing to business opportunities for us in our own daily spaces. We are looking for game changers in the place of work. We're looking for people who are going to be solution providers. And it is when we leverage seriously on technology in our spaces that we can bring the value and produce all of that in the areas where we have found ourselves. So please, even if you're a teacher, I met a lady on Saturday. Her name is Teacher Shade online, and she has won several awards. She was on BBC recently, interviewed. She's won global and local awards. And believe me, it was the power of technology that is showcasing her right now. A primary school teacher in Lagos State. But the point is, she's leveraging on technology to do the things she's doing and doing it very well. So, everyone, everyone has that opportunity to therefore make technology an enabler in whatever space we have found ourselves. That's what I'll say, Mrs. Ibao. Mrs. Ibao, are you there? Mrs. Ibao, can you hear me? Are you there? Okay, all right.
Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very, very much. So I was saying that I'm going to stay on you, but I'll give you time to think about that question because it's a personal one. Is
Okay.
that fine? Can I ask?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Somebody wants to know, why did you leave your last place of employment? And I will tell you, I'm also interested in it because I knew, when I saw the announcement and the train, and and you laugh. So let's pause there. Let's take our
Okay,
second video.
that's fine.
Let's take our second video. And so it's a two question in one. Why did you leave your last place of employment? And then why did you delve into entrepreneurship? Some people would think, oh, just office person for life. Just answer it as best as you can. But we're coming back immediately after. And please remember that this is the round of a minute per answer. So just the top answer that you want to give us. So we'll play our next video saying thank you to one of our sponsors, El Rishon Logistics. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joseph Adedobuwe Wines, CFO of El Rishon Logistics Limited. El Rishon Logistics is a supply chain management and logistics solution provider. With our strategic membership and partnership all over the world, we are able to provide excellent services for our clients, which include HNIs, NGOs, multinationals, constructions, and government companies. And we assure you that with what we do, excellent services is all that we get from us. We are known for speed reliability, dependability, and integrity.
Thank you so much, Rishon. Let me just say a few things about all the sponsors, the people that we do have relationship with. I have personally used Rishon, and like he did say, even with HNIs, that people who trust them, people who are very very particular about quality. We also spoke Daffodil's corporate image, quality output, Aurora Vision Consults, the optometrist, and very very quality persons. We're going to also be giving you the contact details. This is just saying thank you to every one of them. So back to our speakers, and I'm going to, like I said, Mr. Yemi Fashion, let's start with you on the speed. I'm trying to get the right word to use for this session now, because now we need to run. Why did you leave your last place of employment, and why now? Why are you delving into entrepreneurship now?
Okay, so I'll answer the second part first. I actually tried to go into entrepreneurship in 2020, um, right before the pandemic, and then in the course of the time to start, the pandemic hit and an opportunity came up, and I decided on certain realities at that time, and an opportunity staring me in the face. So I said, okay, let me do it. So I had been thinking of entrepreneurship since 2019. I actually did register my business in 2019. So I didn't run into entrepreneurship in a hurry. Planned I planned it out. Okay. And then right after that experience, at Glow, I mean, nothing to hide. It's all over the place. That experience at Glow, another opportunity came up, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. And it allowed me an opportunity to also go beyond HR. It was corporate services, so I did it. But at some point, you also do not want to leave negative value behind in your career journey. And if there were attempts, right, to therefore lead you in that direction of leaving negative value behind in your career, it's always better to call it time at that time. And that was what I did. We had built something for 29, 30 years, and it wasn't going to be very good to not live on a high. So I decided it was time for me to live on a high. So I left, and I moved into what I started in 2020. Interestingly, it looks like the market is ready, or was ready then, for what we're doing right now. Interestingly, today is what? Today is the 7th. Exactly 8 days from now will be 1 year that we started YF Talent Partners. And I promise you, absolutely no regret. It was literally like the market was waiting for us. That's it.
Wow. Thank you. So when you say the market is waiting, are you saying that the market is still big for others to join?
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
sure my I'm sure my boss might be on this call, so let me not send the wrong signal. Let me not
Most,
send the
def-
wrong
most
signal. But
definitely, the
thank
market is very ripe enough for many
very
more
right.
players.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks. That was
But
great. I'm going to go to Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel, and so the question for you is this: for your speed speed question. We've seen your story. If you were to look back, I know that I talked about some things you didn't do well. Yes, we asked those questions. I talked about people, but now what were those? Let me tell you this way, and this is coming from the live session we had with you, the Instagram live. Do you think? And this is a tricky one, given the last question we just asked, Mr. Yemi Fashion, entrepreneurship. During the live session, you did tell us some things you learned from your mother, how that you knew what capital was, what is profit at that age. So you learned. Is entrepreneurship for everybody? Are they born? Are they made? So just easier for everybody. What makes for a good entrepreneur? Because people are listening in and they want to hear, they want to know, am I going to do well? Can my story be like Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel's story? Can I be like Mrs. Sumbo? Can I be like Mr. Fashion, who are running stuff and doing great things? Is it for everybody? Thank
Okay.
you.
My answer to that question will be yes and no. So yes, in the sense that entrepreneurship, everybody should be entrepreneurial in their behavior, entrepreneurial in their delivery of whatever assignment is given to them. What is entrepreneurship? It's simply adding value in order to make something tangible out of it and make profit. So entrepreneurship is adding value. Value addition is the long and short story when it comes to entrepreneurship. So as an entrepreneur, I don't like to employ people who are not entrepreneurial. I want people who can take initiative. I want people who come with the mindset to add value. So entrepreneurship should actually be for everybody. And you mustn't own your own business as an entrepreneur. That's what they call entrepreneur. Somebody who is within a business and is also an entrepreneur. Is somebody who can think and add value and take initiative. Where I would say no is that there is not everyone that has been wired, or has gone through the system of being able to build a business. For instance, I have an elder sister who grew up as a civil servant all through her life. All she had known is civil service. By the time she retired, we tried setting her up in business several times, but she couldn't just sustain the business. Why? Because she's not wired for it. So we decided that I think the best for her would be for her to still go back to look at how can she work here and there. But I will say this, whether entrepreneurship is for you or not, investment is for everybody. So if you are not an entrepreneur, you must be an investor. Whether you are working for somebody or you're working for yourself, you must be an investor, and that covers every ground. So for me, entrepreneurship may not be for everybody, but everybody must be entrepreneurial in their disposition, and you also must be an investor.
Thank you very, very much. Yes, so it might not be wired for it, but you can go into entrepreneurship through investment, like you said, the last point, and then you must be entrepreneurial. For in the career space, we say people like that are entrepreneurs within the business, with that mindset. I want to quickly go to Mrs. Sumbo. Let me take you on this. But before then, there's some things that I just want to ask people. And I hope I'm going to go back to this. It's not just to be in this session. A number of times people reach out to mentors, people reach out to role models, saying that I want to learn from you. You have sessions, but what's most important is what you take out of this session. Permit me to keep stressing and stressing and stressing that. We want to hear your story. We want to bring you on this same platform in a few years down the line to say, come share your story, the impact that hearing the stories of others made in you, the changes you went on to make, and where you are today. And that will take me to Mrs. Sumbo Adeoye. My question for you is this. When I read your profile, great inspiring profile. I know it's a big question, but help me take it in 1.5 minutes. I'm sorry. I want to take as much as I can take from all of you. And you said a lot about, your focus, your failures, and then rising from it. We want to believe that everything didn't come internal. Yes, so the internal factors, the God factor, internal, but what were the other external support systems that you had? What made it possible? What sort of relationship? I know you said relationships, but let us know your own support system that you had, that helped you to be able to navigate. And now that we see the great stuff you're doing.
Thank you so much for this great question. If I do not say this, then I'll be doing everyone a disservice. One of the blessings God has given me is the gift of my husband, who started up as my life coach. He's also my pastor. I call him the best bridegroom because he groomed me into becoming the woman that I am evolving into. I mean, this wasn't the Sumbo that got married 10 years ago. This wasn't the Sumbo. But being under his tutelage, by shared influence, by listening to all of the trainings, you see, it's one thing for you to submit to the leadership of the person that is your husband. It's another thing for you to believe absolutely in the vision of his calling. I believe it. I have seen results from being under his tutelage. So when I got married to him, I didn't want to confuse the two. So I know when my pastor is speaking and I know when to switch. A lot of people go in search of mentors, but what they're looking for is just sponsors. You must have the genuine motive and be ready to learn. It's not everything that your mentor will tell you, dot the I, cross the T. You have to be able to pick on the words they're not saying. You have to be able to observe. You have to be able to, when you go to them, go ready to be able to receive, not to go and start talking. There's at times when I just sit. It could be on the dining, it could be in church, it could be in the office. I sit and I absorb everything he's trying to say to me. There are times when it's not a strategy session, but I have my pen and I have my note. So I'm jotting it down and he's saying we're just chatting. No, sir, you are my mentor. We're not just chatting. I am drawing from you. So for everyone who wants to grow rapidly, don't seek after jumping the process. Find those who have been able to do it and observe. So many people say, I do not have a mentor. I don't have money to get to mentors. No, life, you see, like Mr. Fashion said, everything is now has changed. Everything is online. You can DM whoever is doing well in that field to get their audience. You can tweet at them. You can attend some of their seminars to network with them. See, I know that likes attract likes, but sometimes go in search of what you want. When I was pregnant with my last baby, during the lockdown, I took a course from is it UDX? I took a course from an affiliation with Harvard, and I increased my knowledge on entrepreneurship. If you're waiting for someone to tell you to do it, or I'll now start calling everybody to do it. No, I may not do that, but I decided to share what I've been doing during the lockdown. And some of the people that I mentored decided to go do theirs too. And before you know, that changed the game for all of us. It increased our capacity, it increased our knowledge bank. So these are the things that have helped me. But I want to say a big shout out to Pastor David Adure, the senior pastor of Royalty Christian Center, because he is my hero. He's my husband, though. Thank you.
So thank you so much. And let me say something. Let me just say something here. Thank you so much, ma'am. But I noticed that the 2 times I saw our male speakers smile, deep smiles. When you started talking about the unique support your husband is and the great, hero that he is to you, I saw the deep smile from both of them. So I don't know now if the smile is because, the acknowledgement for men or
Honestly,
yes, that is
spousal
what it should be.
support is great gain. Spousal support is great gain. I must reiterate this. See, a woman can have it all, but that's a woman who has support. It could be from spouse, from family members. It could be from the people you pay, the loyal people who you hire. I'm right here doing this session. Someone is taking care of my baby. We can have it all when we embrace support. And spousal support, is great gain. He allows me fly. He's not intimidated by my greatness. He allows me go. And then he also checks me when I'm about to derail. He counsels me. So, and I don't just shrug it off like, you are a pastor, me, I'm a business. No. I listen because he knows what he's saying. You understand what I mean? And I take the lessons, I run with it. When I get the results, I run back to him, I share with him. He's excited for me. I bear his last name now. Is it not somebody from my gig to the world?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really spousal support in addition to all the support. Really, really extremely important. I'm going to go to Mr. Yemi Fashion at this point. I like the way the smile comes up when we mention your name. Thank you. So the question for you really is this. And in that question, let me flip the family thing. Sorry, because many times you hear when we ask the family question is to the women. Every almost 30 years is not a joke. So maybe I shouldn't just use the word family. It might be a lot more than family. How have you been able to strike the right balance across the different facets of life So when we say impact, yes, we want to be known for the career, the business, but every other thing. When we spoke to you, I recall that you mentioned, we said, who were the people who have influenced you? You talked about your role models, but you also did talk about the people who were working for you or with you that have also, maybe sort of like reverse mentoring or something related. But taking it beyond that, every aspect of your life, the impact you are making across board, what are the key things that have made the difference for you? What did you do differently? You're muted, sir.
Thank you. I'm not sure what I did differently, but my journey has been a movement from passion to purpose, and I'll explain. Passion was my career, right? And believe me, I was passionate about it. I wasn't just it wasn't just my daily bread source. It was more of I had to give it everything that I showed, and I did over the years. But like Sumo said, at some point we discover purpose uniquely. Our journeys are different, and the way we discover purpose will be different from one person to another. Some may discover theirs maybe when they were teenagers, and believe me, they could actually um, be established around that purpose for the rest of their years. Other people, maybe in their 60s, maybe other people. I discovered mine. I discovered purpose as passion was growing. As my career was growing, I was finding something about purpose in what I was doing. And that for me is at some point I realized that hey, you can't take all of these things that you know with you. There's so many young people yearning for knowledge, yearning for tutelage, yearning for hand holding. And yes, since this is a faith-based platform, that's something in the Bible that talks about the harvest being plenty and the laborers being very few. The request for mentoring was overwhelming for me at some point on LinkedIn, totally overwhelming. And I realized that I couldn't do all of these one-on-one with everybody who was making the request. So the first thing that I did was to carry a pregnancy of a network for like 2 years, the YF network. And when I was going to birth it March 10, 2020, right in the pandemic, it just it just it just started like that. And then I wanted to also have a mentoring session for the younger professionals. So the network was for leadership, for people in my category, senior people, entrepreneurs, everybody leading everybody, everybody mentoring everybody. You see what I mean? And then once that was settled, the academy that had been in my head for a very long time also came to life, the YF Academy, which is to do a virtual mentorship for young people over a period of 6 months. So we did cohort 1 last year. We just finished cohort 2. As I speak now, people are on the queue for cohort 3, starting February, January or February of next year. So that for me is purpose. It's not giving me money, but I promise it's giving me joy. Passion gave me money for as long as I was in career. Now as an entrepreneur, passion is still giving me money. So when I said to people that for about 6 years I was speaking without asking anyone for a fee, that was because it was impact based and purpose based, and I was happy to do it. However, this is how I summarized the fusion of both. I said that when passion no, when purpose is built on grace or hinged on grace, passion will always find expression. When our purpose is fully hinged on grace, then passion will always find expression. And that's been my story. That's number one. Number two, you see that word limelight, right? There are two words there, lime and light. Without light, the lime would not shine. So I am possibly in the limelight right now from a support or family perspective. But there's someone who is not probably seen shining the light on my light, and that's my wife. You probably won't see her. I'm the one who's out there talking and all that. But if everything isn't sorted out from the family perspective, the children, the home front, and all of that, it'll be difficult to do the things that we do. That's the reality. We have a clear head to speak. We have a clear head to teach. We have a clear head to mentor, to impact people. But if there is no light behind the line, there will be no limelight. That's a summary for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can't really overemphasize that, but let me take this comment again. When the purpose that's what our assignment is, I also use the word assignment for our purpose, is hinged on grace, then passion will always find expression. And you did say that the passion will pay your bills, but the passion that exactly, so it will find expression. I want to say this, give me to say this to as many that are listening. This is the reason for this session, going back again about what exactly, why are you here, what's your assignment, and what can you glean from the stories of our speakers, what can you glean from their own experience. This has been an amazing time. I'm going to take Mr. Ezekiel, the last question for you, and immediately after that question we're going to now go into the last round of questions. Last two rounds, so it's going to be 2-2. We'll be fast about it. And let me say to everybody on the call, listen, these last two questions, they're not questions you want to miss. The last two questions, they are not questions you want to miss. But let me just quickly say this to Mr. Ezekiel. If you were to look back and, taking back this question in a different dimension, you're into partnership. Why do you think? So this is talking to business people now. Why do you think partnership is working? Growing up, you hear a lot of stories about when they now start doing well, somebody's going to harm the other. Why is your business different? Somebody wrote about partnership in business and used the pertinent story as an example, I think last year, why it has worked. And in the world, where the global space now, Mr. Yemi talked about starting his business, planning for his business. Now people work remotely, they can do different things. Some people want to jackpot, if we use the local parlance, and then they want to have partnership here, such that things are working on both ends. They're able to focus on their areas of, purpose, while passion in other things works for them. Why would partnership work? Quickly, what are the key ingredients that will make partnership work in today's world of business?
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Victoria. It will interest you to know, and these are verifiable information, to know that most businesses that have scaled around the world, if you check them, you will discover they were all partnership. So usually we'll find the partner and the co-partner, or the founder and the co-founder and all of that. You get to Apple, is the same. Steve Jobs is the man that we all know, but there are a couple of people that he founded the company alongside with. You go to Google, the same thing is applicable there. Microsoft, we all know the story. So having looked at that, I will tell you that the reason why people have not been able to embrace partnership, especially in this part of the world, is because of what I can call greed. In most cases, when greed enters into a partnership, it will destroy the partnership. So when there are greedy people in partnership, the partnership cannot work, because everybody is looking out for their own interest, not essentially the ultimate interest of everybody. So greed is one of the things that will never make a partnership work. I think people also get into partnership casually. I said to someone that even if I was into partnership with my wife, I will write a partnership deed, because anything can go wrong. Marriage is supposed to be the partnership that we do based on love and based on God said, for those of us who are Christian. And yet we still go and do swear at the court and take certificates, so there is a contract binding marriage. So why will you get into partnership without a partnership deal? So one of the first things we did from the beginning of our business was to draw up a partnership deed and say, this is what will guide the business, this is what will guide the partnership, so everybody knows what is obtainable. One other thing is that many people go into partnership expecting that the other party will give as much as they have given. The thing about why, one of the reasons why our own partnership has worked is because nobody is waiting for anybody to bring 50% and you bring the remaining 50%. We all get into the partnership and give 100%. When you are giving 100% and the other person is with the mindset of giving 100%, that partnership will do very well. It will also interest you to know that I am from the Igbo part of the country. My partner, Solonche Sunday, is from the Yoruba part of the country. And those two people do not mingle very well, as much. But we have been able to defy all those odds and shown people that if you structure the partnership well, if there's a good foundation for partnership, it will work. And to be sincere, our story has been the story of one, we chase 1,000, two, we put 10,000 to flight. That's been our story. We have recorded more results because of our partnership. If we're not partnering, I don't think we'll be able to have the kind of result we have right now. But that does not mean that everybody has to go into partnership. You need to find out what works for you. For some people, partnership may not be your thing. I've had to even resolve partnership for people. I've been dissolved partnership for people where the thing was not working. I will say, look, you can't. Not everybody will be like Wisdom and Sunday. So we dissolve the partnership. And I've had a situation whereby people who came out of us and their partners, we went to celebrate one of our proteges, and they just celebrated 5 years of being partners together. And it's joy that people can come out, partner together, and they can be there. We have been partners for the last 10 years, and the journey is just getting better and better. So what makes partnership work is people identifying the ingredients that will fuel the partnership. One of it is commitment. Another is to ensure that you're always looking out for each other. Thirdly, will be putting things down on paper. Don't assume anything. Let there be something to guide the partnership. And not just that you put down things on paper. We put down this thing on paper. A lawyer did it and we registered it. So there's already something that everybody can refer to say this is it. And our business is actually structured. We ensure that people are able to come into the organization, do their bits to help our organization become much more structured. So that's how we have been able to survive the partnership.
Thank you so much. With this session, we try to be as rounded as possible. We want to give everybody something to take home. Again, I'm going to say thank you to our speakers. It's not my final thank you. I'm bringing you for just one final round. So I did say 2 questions, and I really did wish that we can take all the questions, but we can't, unfortunately. So the last questions I will ask you is something that you put every other thing you could have said into that question. Please. So I'll give you time to think about it. I'll give you the question, give you time to think about it. Then we will come back after just a very brief video. And this video is really, so let me say the question first. The question is, one question, maybe one question. What keeps you going? And this is just a few days, above 50 more days, just a few days, more than 50 more days to the end of the year. People are positioning for 2023. So what keeps you going? What's that final word that you want to say to the audience, the people listening to you? That should be the most transformative thing, that if they remember that you came on this program this year, if they can't even remember anything, they should remember this. And that is one key thing they need to put in place as they prepare for 2023. So I'm going to hold it there. But before I take those questions from our speakers, let me quickly do something that is dear to my heart. People have always asked me this question: how do you go about the advert? How do you go about the post? How do you go about the things that you do around Inspired for Impact, knowing that you're a full-time career person, you're a mother of growing children, you're also a ministry person. So people ask questions, and I say I don't think I do up to 10% of what happens on this platform. So there's a team behind it, and I really would want to say thank you to them. So I'm just going to showcase the guys that are behind this. It's not so much, it's really around. So we're going to be bringing them up now, just showing their names, what they do, and maybe I would talk over, each as that video comes up. So let's just to help me celebrate them. You can Thank you. Thank you to the team. I must say that there's one person we wanted everybody's best picture, but one of the team members is currently on NYSC camp Victory. If you saw the one of our videos, the one we did about how to register, Victory did that. And even though she's not here, she's strongly into children development, does a lot of things around empowering children from the rural areas. She's currently at NYSC Victory Memie, and she's based in Port Harcourt. I just needed to mention her name. So this is just a thank you to everybody. There's something else I want to just say to just show before the end and this is part of the assignment. So from the month of January, we'll have a weekly blog. If you can bring that up for us, a weekly blog, and it's titled Inspired. It's coming up in January. It's Inspired. It's a weekly devotional for professionals. This is an assignment as professionals in the marketplace, and it's been a burden for a while. And please, this is something to watch out for every week, specifically for ministry-minded kingdom professionals. Something to keep you going, to keep you focused on the assignment, to keep you focused as a kingdom, minister in the marketplace, to keep you focused as somebody who understands that their place as both a king and a priest in the marketplace is one that is a primary assignment. And so this is something to watch out for. Please watch out for more details in the month of December. So thank you to everybody who has supported us so far. You're going to be getting to hear and to see more of this before the end of the year. Thank you. I want to say this to our speakers. Now, this is the final question. To say this to everybody that is joining us, whether on Facebook, on YouTube, please do let us know how the event has been so far as we take our final questions. Let us know what has been the most striking thing for you, what has been the most interesting bit of it, what have been your key takeaway moments and points. Let's feel some vibes in the comment segment. So let me go to Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel. Please, if you could tell me what keeps you going, but the main question is, what would you want our audience to remember from you the most from this event, and that which will propel them to greater heights in 2023?
Okay, I thank you very much. If given the time, there's a lot that we could have said, but one of the things you have to understand is that life does not give you what you want. You have to take whatever life gives you and turn it to what you want. The way I grew up with a lot of things that I never asked for or I never wanted, but that if you ask me to choose, I will not choose those things. But I had to take what life gave me and turn it to what, by the grace of God, turn it to what it is today. I would like to say to you that never give up on your dreams. In fact, dream big. There was a time during the course of our early business, a particular friend of mine came to the office and asked me what we're doing in the office then. And when I finished explaining to him, he just looked around like inside this kiosk, and I said yes, and he just laughed and shook his head and went away. By the time he came the next time, I've doubled what I said to him the last time. Dream big, dream realistically, but dream big. Have enough big dream that can help you, amass resources from wherever they are. Today I had a meeting with our team. We had this company called Real Vest, and we had a major challenge in that company. It's a lot of challenge, and I told them today, I say, come, that all through the weekend I was doing press up, and the press up was not physical press up, it was mental press up, spiritual press up, just to gather spiritual stamina, gather mental stamina to be able to face the challenge. And when I got there this morning, I announced to them that I am ready to face the challenge. What I want to tell you is that you may need to tax your mind. Your mind is elastic. It is however you stretch it that determines what it produces. Read books, ensure that you are always feeding yourself. My development did not come by anybody pushing me into it came by personal development. It came by devoting time to reading, devoting time to studying people. I read a lot of biography, I watch people's life. Some of the things I'm always current about is who is the richest man in the world. I'm always watching them just to know who they are, what they do, how do they do it, and I do a lot of that. And um, for the last maybe 4 to 5 years, I have not had any TV channel in my house. The only thing they watch is maybe Netflix, and I put it for my family. I don't have time to watch much of TV. And if you see me watching TV, it's that I'm watching news or I'm watching something documentary that can help me, improve my life. Because I know I didn't have a lot of the things that people had, really. No good education, no good family structure, and all of that. For you to leave for you to leave home at the age of 13 means there was really no good family structure. But even with that, I was open-minded to say that in spite of any of these things, I was going to make something tangible out of my life, and it has been a, it has been a lifelong journey of fighting and overcoming. What keeps me going? Number one is God. Without God, I am nothing. One of the things that I can trace back to my background is the fact that I found God early. I gave my life to Christ as a teenager, and that has guided me. Have I lived a perfect life? No, but I've lived a life following God. There's almost nothing you at one point or the other that you will not find one encounter with God in my life. So God is one of the things, in fact, is the major thing that keeps me going. Second is my family. I used to say that I got married. My wife is one of the reasons why I became what I am today, because I told her when we were dating, I saw that she had a couple of suitors here and there, and I told her, I made her a promise that I will beat all your suitors hands down, that you will never one day look back and say, if I knew I would have married this other one, or if I knew I would have married this other one. You will constantly look at me and say, thank God I married you. And to some people, it may not be anything tangible. For me, it was a motivating factor to say, come, I must succeed because of this day. So my wife is one of the people that keeps me going. And one thing that I will never play down on is the place of mentorship. Dr. Olumide Emmanuel opened his arm to us. We're three of us, myself, Oladipo Clement, Olonse Sunday. He opened his arm to three of us and mentored us hands on. This one was not, all those mentorship where they say, you don't know your mentor, you don't know your mentor's house. We knew his house, his office, everywhere we knew. We have traveled with him. He has gone. The first travel I had out of this country many years ago was Pastor Olumide Emmanuel that took me like this and took me out. Okay, the first one was in Ghana. I went to Ghana, but the first one the first time I traveled to Dubai was Pastor Olumide Emmanuel that took me in the hand. So these are people that keep me going. That's why my connection with him is forever. I have several other people, role models, people who also mentor me in other things, but these are the things that keep me going. I try as much as possible to read as much as I can. That is very important. People must learn, especially the youth of they do a lot of social media, and they feel that because they consume a lot of social media, it can help in the journey of their life. It might not help. We growing up, we used to do competition of books. Books, one of the things I cherish the most is my library. It has it has built who I am today. Books. It will come out telling you, have you read this? So sometimes when you even know what you are going to meet with your friend, the kind of conversation, you want to read as much as you can, so that when you get to there, you say, I've read this one, I've read this one, I've read this one. Recently, I see someone book I read many years ago, The Millionaire Republican. When I saw that book, I said, this book fired me up. I took it again. I said, I'm going to read again. The book was looking very tattered. I said, I will read it again because I knew the experience I had then when I read that book. And I want to have that kind of experience even much more right now. So these are things, these are things that keep pushing me. And I have never given up spirit. Anytime I get something, even if it fails, I want to redo it again until I succeed.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much gems dropped there. Life doesn't give you what you deserve, but you make out of life what you want. You talked about dreaming big and not putting a leash on, how far, or a latch on how far you can dream. You talked about the fact that our minds are elastic, and I like the way you circle back to the place of God and family in how far you've come. Thank you so much for those gems. I'll go to Mr. Yemi Fashio for your closing remarks. What keeps you going? And then how can our audience position for 2023? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Last week, Tuesday, I scripted something, and I'm going to just read out the way I scripted it. I said that if we progressively build skills, capabilities, and quality networks, things are guaranteed to get increasingly better. I'll say it again. If we progressively build skills, capabilities, and quality networks, things are guaranteed to get increasingly better. So, for all of us still along the journey, let's not forget to build skills, build capabilities, but also build quality networks. Quality networks are great investments. They yield amazing dividends ultimately. What keeps me going? I have only two words to summarize my journey so far, and that is grace only. Um, when I put up that post, you must remember. I think last week or in the course of last week, I said two things. Two words summarize me, and those are the two words. I'm giving them out now. Finally, grace only. And the reason I said that is this, Mrs. Bauer. So many people have done the things that I've done. They've read books, they've met good people, they've built skills, they've had qualifications. And if you consider where they are in the journey of life, they might seem to be still behind. And I'm choosing my words carefully. It is only the grace of God that allows everything that we have been exposed to come together to make us who we are today. So my own personal hashtag is grace only, and that's it for me. Thank you. I think you're muted. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. You might be muted.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. I missed some bits of what you said at some point.
Your video is also on.
Oh, right.
So
Okay, I did miss the later part.
I said that if we do all the things that some people have done better in all the areas that we have mentioned or that I have mentioned today, and they still don't seem to be getting ahead. And that's why I say it's not by the things that we have done, not by the things we had known, not by the things we could do better than other people, but it's only by grace. And I said that my personal hashtag is grace only. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Any last word for our people as the position for 2023?
Yeah, build skills, build capabilities, build solid networks. They always yield great dividends. Always,
Yes.
always.
Yeah, that was the first comment you.
Yeah, that'll be my parting shot.
I think there's a bit of challenge with our network.
I think so. It's frozen.
I really wish I could say more, but if we put together all the comments that we've heard this evening, if we put them together, we have volumes and volumes and volumes of gems that have been dropped today. So I'm going to say this at the risk of now sounding like a broken record. What matters the most is what you take from this session. That's what matters the most. What you take from it and what you act on. So this is wishing you a very prosperous 2023. I know it's still a long time ahead. In the next few weeks to the end of the year, so much transformation, so much change can still happen. And to say a big thank you to all our sponsors, a big thank you to our speakers. Every one of you have been amazing. And I must say this, from the back end, from when we reached out to everybody to this point where we are ending this, it's been a very humbling experience relating to all of you, given where you are in your spheres of influence. So this is from my heart, as public as I can do it, to say thank you for opening your doors, thank you for opening your arms, and thank you for sharing, for giving back to as many that want to learn from you. We're going to be, bringing the cutting together and on this point to say everybody who has supported us in the last 1 year, those who have been impacted, those that have impacted us, to say thank you. And so please stay with us, either following us on our social media handles or just being a part of our quarterly events where we bring in different professionals to speak to us on different topics. And then also in our monthly, this is a faith-based platform. So we do something at the beginning of the month where we just speak for about 30 minutes over the month and decree what we want it to look like. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Have a beautiful evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for having us.
Bye. Wisdom.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Take care.
Yes. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to Inspired for Impact event themed My Journey, My Story. We started Inspired for Impact event, the annual event. Actually, we started that last year, and the theme was also My Journey, My Story. We showcased 4 amazing speakers who shared with us their journeys to relevance. And the feedback we got, the testimonials that have kept on coming and rolling in, have been testimonials of transformed lives and impact that those transformed lives have gone ahead to make. We have 3 amazing speakers who are going to also be sharing the journey to relevance, how they've moved from one point in their lives to another. On our platform Inspired for Impact, we have different programs. We have the book club, which we run every other month. A lot of fantastic books, and those books have been inspiring. We have the new month prayers, where we just declare into the new month what we want it to be. We do that every first day of the month, 5:30 a.m. On Zoom. We also have the Living Inspired monthly event, where we have different speakers. Sometimes I run those sessions, and then a number of times we have speakers who take us through different topical sessions. Currently, we run that on Instagram Live, and it's tagged Living Inspired with Victoria Bauer. Finally, I run a coaching segment as part of the platform every quarter, and it's coaching conversations with Victoria Bauer, and just taking professionals in the different areas, different levels or stages of their career through important topics and things they need to be aware of, and just to help them be the best versions of themselves in their professional careers. I want to show you that you're being a part of this program is not a coincidence. Inspired for Impact as a platform is an assignment, it's purpose being fulfilled, and it's part of us going a step further in pursuit of purpose with passion. It's been said that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step that is taken. You're joining this event today from wherever you are in the world is a step you're taking towards that desired destiny and future that you see for yourself. I just want to say this to you. As you partake in this year's event, do not just partake in it, be deliberate about making the required changes and taking the steps that you need to take. So I'm going to be seeing you at the top, because definitely the top is where you belong. So sit back, enjoy the event and stay blessed.